Hello everyone, welcome to Instant Biology by Dr. Neelabh and Samathan Life Sciences. My name is Chinmay Patade, and a little bit about myself. I got an All India rank of 3 in GATE Biotechnology 2025, and I'm currently pursuing an MTech in Bioengineering from ISC Bangalore. Today I'm here to answer the most common doubts that students preparing for GATE Biotechnology 2025 would face. Although these questions also apply to many other exams, and the advice that I will try to give you today will be also applicable to other exams. So let us first see what are the few common questions that many students have, and most of them are around revision. Is making notes important? How do we use the reference books? How do we manage academics with our gate preparation and many other things? Today I will uh, try to address a few doubts that are very important in the initial phase of your preparation, and I will try to help you with those. Particularly, I would like to start with how to revise, right? And I just don't mean like just revising, right? We should revise effectively. And how do I revise effectively? So, the major misconception that is there around revision is equivalent to going through your notes, right? It is not the truth. Whenever you are revising, you should check if you are able to recall the concept that has been told to you and at the same density. So, for example, if you know that a particular concept is taught to you in a great detail, are you able to remember all of those details or not, right? So, how I would personally revise is after learning a topic, I would make sure that I would revise that topic within the first 24 hours, and then I would set a timetable for myself. So, for example, in my case, I had a fixed timetable for revision. So, a topic that is learned on day 0, I would revise the topic on day 1, day 3, day 7, and then day 10, right? So, I followed a very stringent timetable for revision, and if not, maybe if it is not possible to you, if it is becoming very difficult to keep the track, you can just follow a simple cycle, as in revise in first 24 hours, then revise within a week, then revise once within the 15 days, and then within a month and stuff like that, right? So you can personalize this cycle for yourself. But revision must be accompanied with the PYQ practice, right? So you're not just revising, at the same time, you are reinforcing the concepts through the PYQs, right? And one important point that I would like to tell you all is that you should make short notes for your final revision. And you should be very confident about these short notes such that you should be able to use it just before the exam time, right? Now, there are two ways that you can revise. The one way is passive revision, wherein you're just reading through your notes, right? It might feel productive that you're doing something, but the retention is very low when you just read through the notes. The way that you should revise is using active revision. And what do I mean by active revision? Just being proactive, right? So you can maybe draw it in form of some visual graphic, or you can write it down, you can explain it aloud, you can solve questions as I mentioned before, and you can teach it to somebody else, right? So teaching is the best way of learning in my knowledge, because whenever you teach somebody, you also understand the gaps that are there in your understanding and knowledge, right? So instead of just revising passively, you should actively revise everything, right? The second topic that I want to address is making your own notes important, right? It is not important to make notes that are aesthetically pleasing, where you have written everything from the standard books. Making notes that are concise, that are personalized to yourself, written in language that you understand is very important. You should be able to revise such notes, because if you make very long notes, that is not going to be fruitful, right? And you should also maintain a record of the PYQs that you have solved, which are around these notes. So how you should actually make your notes, right? So if you're reading something, if you're reading some material, instead of just writing the explanations in terms of long paragraphs, wherever possible, try to include visual cues or visual, elements to elevate your notes, right? And how you can do that? You can include tables, comparison charts, diagrams, flow charts, over long explanations. And that would really, really help you, because visually learning is much, much better than just reading through the notes, right? And one important thing is that you should make your own short notes, and you should be confident enough that these short notes are complete enough and reliable enough during my final preparation days, right? So this is how you should build your notes, okay? After that, the major concern of many students is what material to refer, right? And in because of lack of understanding of this, many students go to, run towards major textbooks like Leninger for biochemistry or start reading Kubi for immunology. But honestly, that does not help. During my preparation, I did not refer to any standard reference book unless and until I require to understand a particular concept in greater detail. Then only I would go to reference books. But otherwise, any material that is relevant to your exam will help you a lot. So, for example, there are certain publications which only and only write books specific to GATE biotechnology, right? So, instead of going for books that are much wider in terms of their goal, you should go for books that are very specific to GATE, right? Or you can also refer to notes from your seniors or somebody who has actually prepared for the GATE exam and has scored really, really well, right? So when you should refer to the reference books, only when you need to understand a particular concept in a greater detail, right? And so therefore it is a part of smart work that you're not going through the entire book, right? There's a reason why these books are called as reference books, because you're just referring to them for a particular topic and not for your entire preparation, right? So use them as a reference, not as your main resource. The next thing that I want to talk about is the 80-20 rule, or a Pareto principle, right? So this rule states that 80% of the results come from the 20% of the focused effort. And in terms of the GATE preparation, I would like to, uh, phrase it as the 20% of the syllabus is going to fetch you 80% of the marks. Now, this 80-20 proportion is standard. This might be 25, 70, 30, but minimum or the syllabus that is important is going to fetch you much of the marks in the exam, right? And therefore, not every topic deserves the same amount of effort and time, right? You should focus more on the topics that are historically proven to fetch more marks if studied properly, right? And how do you exactly apply this rule? The first thing that you should start with is analyzing PYQs. If you analyze PYQs, you will be able to identify the topics which are high, medium, and low yield. Then you should prioritize amongst these topics and revise much frequently for the high yield topics over the low yield topics. So your aim should not be to complete 100% syllabus. You should complete the syllabus that is going to fetch you more and more marks. And in this fight, try to avoid perfectionism in terms of completing syllabus. Don't try to complete everything and every topic. Try to know everything about some things, that is the 20% of the syllabus, and know a few things about everything, right? So give also some exposure to the low yield topics, right? And make sure that you master the fundamentals of the topics that which are very, very important and high yield. Coming to a few common mistakes that I see aspirants make over years, because I last year I had the chance to mentor a lot of students for GATE Biotechnology personally, and I have also gone through the same cycle of preparation for GATE Biotech. So I know that there are a few mistakes that aspirants do, and they keep repeating those mistakes. And I would like to bring your attention to those, because if you know what not to do, you would be able to avoid the noise and you would be able to avoid the clutter, right? So it is very important to not just collect a lot of resources, right? So what students do is they ask this person, they ask another person, they ask this third person, for resources. They collect everything, they get a lot of books together, and the actual preparation is not getting done, right? So it's all about just collecting the resources and doing nothing with it, right? So more the material you have, more the confusion is going to be in your head, right? And that is why stick to one resource, right? If you are referring to somebody's notes which are very reliable, refer to their notes. If you are in coaching, if you have joined some classes, make sure that you stick to the notes that are given in your classes. So instead of just going all over the place, make sure that you stick to one resource and make the most out of that instead of just collecting everything, right? The second thing is about revision, uh, which I also talked about in the initial part of this video, wherein you're not just supposed to read. If you're just reading, that is not revision. A revision must be accompanied by active recalling, right? It should be accompanied with question solving, right? So when you do that, the concept is better understood and reinforced in your mind, right? And that brings me to the third point: ignoring PYQs. And this is the major blunder that one can make, that is to ignore the PYQs, or on the other extreme, just doing PYQs and learning nothing, right? So PYQs will tell you what the exam really wants, and the understanding and analysis of the PYQs is very important in order to have a better understanding of the exam. Then you should not spend a lot of time in making notes, right? You should make notes. Making notes is very, very important, but at the same time, you should not waste time in making notes that are just aesthetically pleasing and there is no content in that, right? So try to spend, if you are spending time in making notes, make sure that your notes are smart enough that they help you, right? You should not give equal importance to every topic, as also mentioned in the Pareto or 80-20 rule, that you should prioritize topics using PYQs. And the things that are much more common, for example, you should not keep waiting for motivation to come and then you will start studying for the exam, right? You should build a discipline, you should build a routine that will help you in preparing, right? So discipline is like a constant graph, but the motivation is like a wave, it will come and go, right? So you should choose discipline over motivation any day. You should not compare yourself with others, because everybody's journey is going to be different, right? And stop chasing for perfection, right? Just keep moving. If you are chasing perfection within a particular topic, you will become much more stagnant, and that is not going to help you in a long term, right? It will waste a lot of time, right? So instead of choosing perfection, make sure that you're getting things done. You're making some progress instead of just ruminating over the same things over and over again, right? So success isn't about what you do; it's also about what you avoid. So you should avoid these common mistakes that many and many students do. So to sum everything up, right? Getting a good score in GATE Biotechnology or getting a good rank is not about just studying, just showing up, but it is about studying smartly. It is about staying consistent. It is about prioritizing high yield topics over low yield. It is about constantly revising. It is about making the notes that actually work. It is about using the resources that you have wisely. And after all of this, staying consistent with what you do. Okay. So, all the best for the exam. I have a quick announcement to make. Uh, as some of you might know, that Samadhan Life Sciences has already started with a GATE Biotechnology batch in the month of June, and I am personally mentoring students for engineering mathematics section in that batch. Um, so the announcement is that we are going to launch a crash course or a short course in engineering mathematics, and we will be making the recordings from the sessions available to all of you. And if you're particularly interested in engineering mathematics, we will be making a separate video on how to enroll yourself in that crash course. So stay tuned if you are interested in learning engineering mathematics section particularly to improve your score. And thank you for watching this video. Subscribe to the channel for uh, constantly getting reminders of very wonderful videos around the GATE preparation, and all the best.